We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for the virtual coffee connection. And let's dive right in now. Anita, what questions do you have for us today?
So I'm getting ready to transfer a bunch of my stuff to other people. Like what are good ways to organize your stuff? Like when you're getting ready to transfer it to other people because you're switching jobs or even just passing it from one generation to the next.
Yeah, great question. And so spreadsheets are wonderful. I mean, they're absolutely magical. And so if you list everything on the left-hand side and say,
Hmm.
okay, here's the task that I have. And a lot of times we we do more work than we realize. And so, oh, I forgot to do that. Oh, yeah, I do that. I do that. And so breaking it down, and sometimes you break it down into, here's five major categories. So you have categories of work that you do, and then you have
Uh-huh.
specific tasks. And so you've done some of that, which is good. I would continue to do that. Um, how far you go, it really depends on you and whoever you're training. So do you
Yeah.
go ahead and have a column, obviously, for who you're dishing it to? Yep.
Yeah.
Do you go ahead and have a column for where when you train them, you do a recording and you put the link on there? So if they have questions on it, you've trained them and you've recorded the training. Maybe, maybe not. That's not a black and white situation. Do you
Okay.
put do you put estimated, time? Do you do the task daily? Do you do it weekly? Do you do it monthly? And kind of the estimated time it takes you in minutes to do that particular task. That can be very helpful in being able to go through it. Again, how far do you want to go? You can go crazy on it. This is kind of leaning towards um, so that there's the four kind of levels of learning. Level one is, unconscious incompetence. We're stupid. We don't know it. Level two is conscious incompetence. Level three is unconscious competence. And level four is unconscious competence. So you know that there's things that depending on how long you've done the task, there's probably a fair amount of unconscious competence. Like you don't even realize how good you've gotten. And so, this is how long it takes you to do the task. Here's some unconscious competence. Like here's some things that I learned or some challenges or those types of things. And so a lot of times so you're to be commended for thinking about it and asking about it. So a lot of times people don't think about it. They just kind of do things. They're not contemplative. In handing things off, you just spend a little extra time and saying, are there other factors involved? Are there other things involved? Like, is there other experiences? And so um, you may have come into a particular role with more experience than somebody that's taking it over. And so if you do that, you are trained because you were at a certain level. But if somebody's at a lower level experience than you do in that particular area, you might run into some issues. So I like to go ahead, my father-in-law is in, you know, um, building carpentry and stuff like that. And so something he was fond of saying is, measure once, or measure twice, cut once.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think thinking about it, going through it and saying, what am I missing? What are some key pieces in it? Is there something else that can be done? So it's kind of like measuring twice, thinking about it twice, and then putting all of that into a spreadsheet is really good. So,
Okay.
when you're transferring it to other people, that obviously you look at your personality versus their personality. And so if you're an analytic, and they're an expressive, okay, they're going to fly through some important details probably and just miss them. So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of, you could get a college degree just on that. It's cloning yourself, reproducing yourself, but you've got the essence of it. Does that help, Anita?
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Cool.
It does.
Anything
Um,
else that you have?
like I feel like so I did make a list, but I feel like I'm missing something. Like, how do you not miss things?
Yeah, good question. Great question. So I like to sleep on it. So I like to get a good night's sleep. So if I did some work, before I went to bed on the spreadsheet or whatever, I wake up in the morning and often in sleep, in my sleep, I'll come up with stuff that I missed,
Right?
and so you might do
Yeah.
that throughout the day. You might do that. You kind of have an out of body experience when you're doing the work or training somebody else to do it, whoever you're training to do it. If there's pros and cons to this, if you say, yeah, I'm going to transfer it over and you've got to get it because we're not going to be able to talk, that puts more pressure on you to do a really good job on it. And it puts
Yeah.
more pressure on them to do a good job on it. So that's good. But if you're available, you can go ahead and say, hey, if I missed anything, you have any questions, give me a call after it's been transferred over. Any of those things can be good.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah. Yep.
Cool.
Makes
Anything,
sense.
anything else you have, ma'am?
No, I can't think of anything.
Okay, super. Who else has joined us? Is this Marlon's
Marla
friend?
Miller.
Marlon Miller. Okay, very good. Um, Marlon, did you have any? Anita just asked a great question. She said, in business, when you're transferring, you know, your responsibilities from one person to another person, how do you do that? And so we gave some input on that today with her. I know you've just joined us. What questions would you have for us today, Marlon?
Uh, how do I determine when I can get like a shop boss and give him responsibilities and make sure everything happens and I can just do the float around?
Yeah, nice. Great question. So, what booklet do you have?
The one just Nora that sent me the other day.
Do you have it there
Part
with you or
one.
not?
Yes.
I'm just, see, I'm guessing it's probably do you own a job and not a company? Yeah, own a job, not a company.
Do you have it there
What?
with you, Marlon?
Yes.
Okay. And does it say the business operating system on it? Does it say do you ever feel like you own a job rather than a company?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you go to page two, you'll see about the business operating system, the boss system. So it's a function of, that individual is going to go ahead and take over and do some of your work. So that's good, right?
Yes.
But it's going to cost you money to have that done. So you need to make sure that your time gets invested into something that produces um, more work, more business, more profitability than what you're paying that new individual. So it's almost like an art and a science kind of combined. There's not a black and white of what it is. Um, and so that's where having a good solid plan, knowing your numbers really good, um, having a plan. I mean, if you're just going to take your pay and transfer it over to him, and you don't need your pay anymore, well, then you can do that. The challenge is most of the time business owners still need to get paid. So to do that, you've got to have a strong plan of where your time is going to go. where your time is going to go to be able to make that, hire to be very profitable. Make sense?
Right. Yes.
And so if you look on the page, if you look on page 11, you'll see the 530 grid. Do you see that there?
Yes.
And so, congratulations, you're moving forward on the business x-ray. So you'll get, a lot of this in there. So this is kind of a great setup for that. But you're looking at where do you invest? So you've got the 5 areas. You've got marketing, pre-sales, sales, servicing, client relationships for life. So you've got those 5 areas. So where can you invest your time where it's going to produce a far higher return? And so, yeah, you're paying somebody else to do your work, but your time you're investing into something that's going to be far more profitable than what you're paying that individual. Makes sense.
Mm. Yes.
And then I don't know if you have access to spreadsheets or not. You can do it manually, but it's obviously going to be harder, but you can do it manually. And so spreadsheets are a wonderful gift for business owners in what they're doing. And so, if you create a list, like Anita was asking about how do you transfer things from one to another, if you go ahead and create a list, a detailed list of, I'm doing this, and so I need to transfer this and this and this. It's almost always, Marlon, a lot harder. Like we think as business owners, we think, well, if I'm bringing somebody on 40 hours a week, I'm going to save 40 hours. Nope. Often it creates more work. Like we have to work, we have to pay for that individual, and then we have to work even harder than we're doing now. And that's where having a recruiting and onboarding system within your company is really important. Make sense?
Yes.
If you
Because
go, go ahead.
I know a guy that told me that they've got a lot of people working for them. They got a butcher shop, and he said, we've got a lot more headaches with that many people. And he said sometimes it'd be nice just to be more like a mom and pop shop.
Yeah, and this is the thing. This is the thing is if you build a business, if you expand a business and you don't build it smart, you're gonna work more and you're gonna earn less. And so my son-in-law a few years ago, he was raised Amish, but he was looking at buying a business and he asked me for my input on it. And there were 2 Amish-owned businesses, and they were both of the owners were in their late 30s, early 40s, and went in and, asked them and said, hey, are you interested, rather than selling your old business, would you be interested in having, a partner come in and take over some of the things you don't want? And he said, my wife won't let me do that. And so not only was he burned out, but his wife was burned out as well. And both of them said, like they're in their early 40s and they're just burned out. And so what they did is both of them said, like, we designed and engineered our business improperly. And so this is where, the points typically are going to be at, like, you have a business at 100,000, and then you have $250,000, and then you have 500,000, $500,000, $1 million, 2.5 million, 5 million. So it's roughly doubling. And it's called dimensional thinking. So if you go to your booklet there on page 25, And so if we ask somebody what's a higher number, a 2 or a 9, most people will say, well, of course a 9 is. But if there's 10 levels in a dimension, 10 is not perfection. 10 is just masteries of that particular dimension. And so once you get to a 10, you move to the next dimension. A 2 in the next dimension is higher than a 9 in the previous dimension. So what's the difference between doing $500,000 in business and doing 250,000? It's how we think. So you can work less at $500,000 in business than you can at 300,000 if you design and build it properly. Another thing you want to consider for sure is if you go to page 28. And do you see on the left side where it says the boss system, the 3 DNAs?
Yep.
So the different shapes, 4 different shapes, and the 4 different types of things that cause frustration, that's personality masteries. It's DNA for people. And so you need to have a system. You need to have a system in place in your business that understands people, like your personality. So you would train a foreman, let's say, you'd train a foreman to come in and do it the way you do it. Well, that foreman probably won't have the same personality that you will. So the foreman won't want to do it the way you do it. And it likely won't work for him the way it does for you because he has a different personality. It might work better, might work worse. So having coaching and training and a plan and systems in place is going to be really, really important. Make sense?
Right. Yes. Yep.
Cool. Nice. Other questions you have, Marlon?
Nope.
All right. Let me just go ahead and glance through this booklet here and see. Yeah, there's some good stuff in this booklet. Like this will definitely go ahead and help you in what you're doing. And you'll enjoy the X-ray a great deal. And maybe next week you can invite your buddy on. I think you mentioned from Ohio or Pennsylvania. So yeah, any business owner that you can get to participate in the Coffee Connection, they'll ask questions, you'll learn from. You'll ask questions, they'll learn from. We can accomplish far more together than we ever could on our own. Make sense?
Exactly. Yes.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for joining us, Marlon. Appreciate it and have a really blessed day.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you.
Yep.
Bye. If you're listening to the rebroadcast we'll see you. Yeah. If you're listening to the rebroadcast of this, you have any questions, feel free to connect with the individual who invited you to participate in today's session, or you can call toll free 888-230-2300. Outside the U.S., 630-393-9909. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day.